Greg stood beside the Occam Minister of Defense, scratching his new beard. His civilian clothing felt wrong for the occasion. At least he had known how to stand. After a bit more shuffling, he stood at ease anyway. He had missed the beginning of the speech. The spotlight saying to the stage dragged him back to that night. Greg shook his head, attempting to stay in the now. His hair, now freed from reglementary length, started to curl, and the lights revealed a faint reddish hue he hadn't seen since enlisting. The rampant machine hordes had been beaten back, planet after planet. The speaker on the stage, former general and now Minister of Defense, was already deep into her speech. You had to be there to understand. Some in her audience nodded. After a pause, the Occam continued. She still wore her white uniform, immaculate on her aquatic bird frame. Thin legs ended in shining boots, while small claws at the end of her flipper wings held notes. Our planet, Pearl, or as the humans call it, Zutam 4, had been one of the last. Of the coalition forces, only humans could survive the cold that holds most of our planet in its grip. Down below, we were holding a last-ditch defense against the unrelenting assaults from soulless constructs that had only one purpose: killing us all. It was clear now that some of the audience had been there. They wore uniforms and looked different. Others looked differently at them. The speaker gave them a small nod. Then the humans made planetfall. They brought their toolbox. Hammers, rapid-firing rotating guns, screwdrivers, a laser system that somehow worked, and wrenches, their missile systems. Do not ask me why they were named as such. I don't understand human military terms. Some of the front seat humans grinned. One hid his mouth behind his hand, pretending to cough. The speaker just continued. Explosions, smoke, and the deafening sound of combat. Thus the humans greeted us. We thought the machines were bad. Violence was taken to the next level. But it hit their lines. Stunned, we watched the machines taken apart. Hammers hammered deafeningly into their lines. Screwdrivers swept across the battlefield in blinding arcs, and wrenches rained down on high-value targets from afar. We were deaf by the time we joined in, shaking. But the human ferocity demanded no bystanders. Every Occam around was sucked in. Some human wounded gave us their weapons. Fuck them up, they said. We did not understand that language, but we understood the intent. We fucked them up. Every single last one of them. But the greatest hero was Private Greg Little. 2658th Regiment, 68th Drop Platoon. We are here to honor him, posthumously, and reward him with the highest possible medal. The speaker got interrupted. Ma'am, he ain't dead. He just had to leave service. The speaker checked her notes again. Ahem. Post-service medal for his valiant actions during our rescue. Red-faced, Greg tried to hold himself together, while his platoon stood at the front of the crowd with grins so wide he could see them from the stage. Therefore, we have commissioned a new medal, one that holds great significance in our culture. Greg's face became somewhat brooding. He knew he would never hear the end of it. But first, let me tell you the circumstances that led to his sacrifice. His pod was hit during descent, and the platoon bailed out. They all crashed, separated, and Greg found himself in a house. The machines were closing in, and Greg did human. The Occam all nodded, while some humans looked puzzled. Roaring, group hug! He unleashed wrath as only humans can. A soldier in the audience got elbowed when he spoke up. That's Greg. The minister blinked once, again checking her notes. Needless to say, the machines were all destroyed a moment later. Again, the speaker was interrupted. One of the soldiers whispered a bit too loud. It wasn't that easy. Another loud whisper stated, "It was." A few elbows more prevented further discussion, allowing the ceremony to continue. Greg just grinned when he heard someone say it was easy. Their pod had been hit. He had to bail out high up in the stratosphere. His squad was dispersed over hundreds of miles. Greg had always loved skating. He brought his best pair. When the last of his ammo ran out, he cursed his choice of low leather boots with long, sharpened irons. Brought for a victory lap. They turned out to be their only hope. The child was strapped to his back, wrapped in Kevlar and blankets. As he tightened his laces, he saw the machines approaching in the shimmering distance. First came short, choppy strides. Then he burst forward with long, punishing strokes. Sparks, no, ice particles catching the sun, seemed to erupt beneath him as he tore across the frozen plain. The next base was 110 miles away. Communications were dead. EMPs had laced the magnetosphere, jamming every channel. Even the transponder was a risk. It might bring help. It might bring more enemies. People had made such distances before, in contests, never while hunted by death. By nightfall, his mind had begun to drift. The pain in his ribs had dulled, replaced by a steady burn in his legs. The machines couldn't cross the ice as fast as he could. He was gaining ground. He remembered winning long distance as a junior. Probably felt this tired back then. Hard to say. That was another life. Greg stumbled. His face hit the ice. Cold. He grunted. Rose. The howling wind faded into the memory of the cheering crowd. The distance shrank. He found rhythm. Slide. Slide. Eventually, it was the only thought he had. That and the lights behind him. Scanning. Searching. Hunting. They yelled when they saw him. He didn't answer. They fired, not at him, but at the machines chasing in his wake. "Kid," he rasped, just before collapsing in the doorway. The bundle on his back stirred. Alive. Greg focused again on the speech. There were losses, too. The family there lived on a distant ice fishing farm. They never had a chance. Greg used infrared vision to search the house and found a heat source hidden in blankets. One of our unborn, the speaker said. An egg. Greg's mind drifted back to that moment. Greg eyed the egg with disbelief at first, then rising panic. Throwing back the blankets, he started pacing, occasionally shooting at anything that moved outside. Alone, he could survive. Hide until someone found him. But now, there was this thing. A foot-high brown speckled egg. He remembered chicken eggs had to be kept warm to hatch. Birds would sit on them. For a moment he imagined himself doing the same. A wiry smile tugged at his lips. The egg would need body warmth. Greg drew his knife and began cutting strips from the blankets. He could bind it to himself, keep it close, become a brooder. That was then. He had trouble keeping focus on now, especially at night, even more so if there were lights. His soldier days were over. Next to him, the speaker folded her flippers in a sign of gratitude. The egg cracked from the inside, as it should. The crowd nodded at this happy turn of events. But we all know that the young bonds were the first it sees. Greg had not known the significance. He had wrapped the young in blankets and tried to keep the shivering poor thing warm by holding it against his chest. Occasionally he had to leave the young. Combat footage showed him throwing his microgrenades at the machines after his ammo ran out. After the chilling combat clip, the speaker spread her wings wide. There was more. The last one he took out with a wrench. A real one. Used in maintenance of fishing boats. Size M34, you humans would call it. The minister paused, then whispering, Is this right? Over 100 miles? The microphone still caught it, and the crowd nodded as one man, the gossip outpacing memos again. Right, the minister spoke up again, her eyes on the notes she read. He crossed over 100 miles of open ice in the night, chased by the machine killers. Never pausing, never slowing down. Now, he stays here with us, saying he has no other choice. Greg has chosen to leave the service and live with us as a father. We honor him for his sacrifice, and hand him the Brood Medal. A storm of sound followed. There was cheering, but he could still hear his former squadmates howl and laugh. A tiny figure clenched little swimming wings around his legs. The soft clicking sounds made it all worth it.